Hello guys. It is, well, now that it's past midnight Friday, but I'm going to say Thursday night. And I forgot Wednesday that we had the episode, so we watched it tonight. And so I thought, why not give a review and what my thoughts are. I was a little upset with some of the things that happened, but we'll get into that. But again, as always, if you haven't watched it, don't watch this until you've watched the other one. But I'm sure by now most of you who watch the show have seen it. So, on with it. It starts off in 1980. So, rewind. Donna is in her car, and she sees another car come up and parks, and she's trying to hide so she's not seen. And so, after she's clear, she goes up to this, like, house, apartment, whatever it is, and, breaks in, basically. And she's just kind of, like, sneaking in. She hears some noise. She hears a woman who, like, it seems like she's in pain or something, or she's been being basically, like, murdered or whatever. So Donna goes up to the door, and then just kind of bangs on the door, and is just like, I know what you're doing in there. Why don't you open the door, blah, 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 and nothing. So then she somehow breaks in she gets in, and she sees this woman that's chained to the bed. Not chained, but she's tied up, I guess, pretty much to the bed with her intestines all hanging out and everything. Unconscious. She's flipped out, and she goes to the wall where it has this, like, bulletin board full of pictures of other women who've been murdered. And she goes to get out of there, and this woman comes alive. And she gets the blanket to kind of cover her, and she's going to try to help her and everything. And then she sees her dad, her father. He's like, what are you doing here? You were never supposed to see this side of me. And basically her dad's a serial killer. And she tries to convince him that that's not the father I know. This is not like you. You can change, because she was a doctor, psychiatrist. So she's trying to convince him that he can change. And then he's like, you almost had me, and then he kills himself, basically. Which makes her who she is now. And then you fast forward back to the present. Well, Richard, or Night Stalker, he's talking to Donna, and basically he was telling her how, because she observed him being revived from the dead, and he said that he's been resurrected by Satan, basically, and so that's why he's still alive. And he says that he knows everything that Donna's ever done. So she's just like, he calls her by her nickname, which is Dee Dee, and her father used to call her that. And so she's like, no one's ever called me that for years. And then she hears her father's voice, and she turns around, and then Richard kind of, like, disappears into the background, and her father is just like, you're your father's daughter, and basically saying that she's followed in his footsteps and stuff. And then it switches to Margaret, Montana, Chet, and Brooke, and Xavier. So Margaret's is like, we need to go across the water since the car is burned up and that's their way out. It's in flames, so there's no way out, basically. So she said that they gotta go across the water to see if they can find help. And Montana is just like, Chet's like, yeah, that's a good idea, blah, blah, blah. And Montana's like, well, Chet can go with you. And I'm like, really? Volunteering somebody? Chet's like, are you serious, bitch? But anyways, he goes with her. He agrees to go with her. And while they're in the canoe, or not canoe, but the boat, Margaret tells Chet that they got into like speaking about religion and all that stuff. And she does her little fundamentalist, whatever, religion bullshit talk. And she said something about him or anybody basically confessing their sins and stuff. And he's like, well, what about you? Don't you have any confessions and stuff? Have you ever, not done anything? And she's like, oh, no, I have confessions. And she said, after death, there's nothing. And she said that she basically needed to get everyone alone so that she can kill them. And she knocks out Chet. And then, or she attempts to knock him out. And then she just beats the fuck up out of him. She dumps him in the water while he's trying to cling on. He's trying to climb in the boat and everything, or whatever, and she cuts his ear off and, like, stomps on him to get him to fall in the water. And so he's dead. All I know is when Montana was just like, yeah, Chet will go with you, I'm thinking, oh, you're next. So then now he's dead, and it's only Brooke, Xavier, and Montana. Then, when it's just Xavier, who is sleeping on one of the bunk beds, Montana and Brooke are talking, and Montana is getting closer to basically attacking Brooke. And meanwhile, Brooke's looking out the window and she's like, I just saw Ray out there. She's like, what? Ray, he's running out there. And then she turns around and she sees that Montana has a weapon. She's like, okay, good, hold on to that. We're going to need that for later. Not knowing that she's the one that it's for. So she runs out there and she runs up with Ray, which my ex was just like, didn't he die? I was like, yeah, his head was clean cut off. So Ray and Brooke run into the cafeteria. I think it's the cafeteria. And they're sitting there and they're just talking back and forth. And Brooke talks about how there was a kid in school that always came in second place. Like, he was as good as her, but he always came in second place because she was like the top whatever. And so he stopped talking to her and convinced everyone to stop talking to her. So she purposely made him go, become first in everything. Sorry. So then, he asked her to, she said that the kid asked her to get ice cream, and she said yes. And then years go by, and then, eventually she's getting down to where he proposes to her and asks her to marry him, and she says yes. Even though she really didn't know if she really loved him at the time. And, and then Ray's ghost talks about how he wanted to be a doctor and that he went to school and studied hard and blah blah blah. And Brooke kisses him. He's like, "What'd you do that for?" She's like, "I don't know. I wanted to." Basically, and this is the second time that they've done this in this show, but this is the second time that somebody in the show has had sex with a ghost. Well, that I can think of off the top of my head. There's a lot of other ones, I'm sure, and throughout the whole series. But, it's weird. She loses her V card to a ghost. And the first thing I thought of was, they're doing this shit again. Do you guys remember Murder House? Yeah. Tate. Last time that happened, there was a demon baby named Michael Langdon. Whatever. And then she said something about being thirsty, and so she went to the fridge, and then that's where she sees Ray's head. As she flips the fuck out. Ray didn't realize he was dead until he came over to the refrigerator and realized, shit, that's my head. What the fuck? And so that's how she finds out that he's dead. And then she runs away, goes back to the cabin where Xavier was, and Montana. But before she does that, while she's still in the cafeteria, before it shows her running away, or before she finds out that he's dead, it shows Donna, who was previously Rita, by the way, Xavier and Montana. Well, before Donna comes in, Xavier wakes up. Montana is just trying to comfort him and stuff, and then he gets up, and then Donna comes in, and Montana's about ready to kill this bitch. And she said something about how she was the one that released Jingles and stuff. Mind you, they don't even know that she did this, obviously, and they don't know that Jingles is not the one that killed people. It was Margaret. They don't know this. And so Xavier's like, "You're the one that did this to me? You're the one that made it to where I get put into the oven." Basically, he's like, "Look at my face. I'll never be on the cover." I think it was TV Guide or something like that, or whatever. I'm like, oh, first world problems. Anyways. So, let me see. She goes somewhere. Donna does. Or she sees, I forget, hold on. I'm trying to remember here. Okay, so basically Donna goes and she finds Jingles. And they're talking, and basically she wants him to kill her, and she's just talking about how she wanted to know why her father was how she was, or how he was and stuff, and then she doesn't want to be like him, and so she basically asks Jingles to put her out of her misery, and he says no. He's like, I only have one kill left, and that's Margaret. I was so hoping he would get her too. He almost did. If it wasn't for the fact that Xavier showed up and shot him with arrows, like a bow and arrow, he probably would have killed the bitch. But apparently she's not supposed to die yet, which is irritating because I want this bitch to die. And she's the cause of all this, so anyways, after Jingles tries to kill a bitch by choking her to death, Xavier comes up, shoots him with the arrows, making it to where he dropped her, and she's kind of unconscious from being choked. And Xavier keeps shooting him with the arrows. Now, again, he doesn't know what's the real deal. He doesn't know that Mr. Jingles is not the killer, it's Margaret. So he tends to, when he thinks that Jingles is dead, he tries to wake Margaret up. And she stabs him in the chest and pulls the knife down. So I was so pissed about that. That's the one thing that I was really pissed about, is because of the fact that this bitch killed one of the dudes that I actually liked a lot. Xavier was such a badass dude. I like him a lot. Anyways. So then after he's dead, she gets up, walks off, like nothing ever happened, and then it shows Richard over kind of near Jingles. Jingles isn't dead. Nope. So Richard's like, do you accept Satan? You know, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't show it, you know, anything else after that. Then it switches over to Brooke again. Like I said, after she finds out that Ray is dead, she runs back to the cabin and is talking to Montana, who ends up attacking her, and they're fighting. And Montana is telling her about how basically everything that she had said about how when she met Richard and how she hired him to kill her, and basically she was just saying, you killed my brother, basically, which is her, Brooke's fiance's best man or something like that. And so they're fighting. And Brooke's trying to get away. She hides. And then she finds a weapon. And then they just start attacking each other. And it's just, it's constant back and forth. They're just fighting. Blah, 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 blah. And then that's when it went on a commercial break. But when it came back from a commercial break, it's daytime again. It's the next day. And you see a school bus full of kids, and I'm like, oh, shit. That sucks. You see a bunch of kids, they arrive at the thing, and there they are, fighting. Montana, from the night before when they were fighting, gets stabbed in the leg, and so she's limping and everything, and they're still fighting. Brooke pushes her off of her, and she is just stabbing the shit out of Montana. And then when she's dead, the kids witness the murder, and they start screaming. And then it shows, like, police, ambulance, whatever. You can see Brooke is being taken away. For murder. And then Margaret's hiding. And, she stabs herself in the leg. And then comes out limping, crying. She's like, oh, thank God you're here, blah, 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 blah. And then she frames Brooke, saying that she's the one that did all this, she went crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then, so they took her into care and stuff, and Ray is there, again, as a ghost. One of the paramedics sees him, and she's like, do you need help, sir? Are you hurt? And, he said, yeah, he doesn't know from what or where, whatever. So she takes his blood pressure and finds out he has nothing. There's no reading at all. So she's like, alright, let's get him in the ambulance. So she gets him in the ambulance. She puts the mask on, and he's sitting there thinking, yay, I'm getting the fuck out of here, because I gotta get out of here. But once they actually leave the area, his ghost stays. And then it shows a cop that's putting something in the trunk and everything. He's getting ready to leave. And the car drives off. And so he was going to call it in. And then you see Montana with no flaws, no blood, no nothing. Like, she never died. He's like, Miss, can I help you? You need help, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm dead. She grabs his gun. He's like, whoa, whoa, just take it easy. So she shoots the guy. She shoots, her ghost shoots the officer. And then you see Ray, Ray's like, I just wanted to go home. And the hitchhiker that they picked up, or they hit from the 70s, was like, this is your home now. And then after Montana does all that, they say something to her. They say her name, and she's like, no, it's blah, 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 whatever the name was she said. It's like, I'm just fucking with you guys. You guys are, you guys are no fun. And then she walks with them. She's like, we're gods here. We could do whatever we want. And then the next scene, you see, they walk into the camp and stuff. And the next thing you see is the cop car driving. And you find out that it's Richard and Jingles, because they stole the police car. And they drive to LA, or towards LA. You'll see, like, the sign at the end that says Los Angeles 166 miles or whatever. So basically, more or less, Jingles has sold a soul. And it's funny because Richard's looking at him while he's driving. He's like, seatbelts. Then they start laughing their asses off, because they're not going to die ever. And then basically that's where it ends. But the way it ended, the way this episode ended, if they would have ended the season right there, that would have been perfect. But we still got a couple of episodes left. And, yeah, it was pretty fucked up episode. But I was hoping that Xavier would have made it. They didn't. The only people that are still alive is Margaret and Brooke. We already know now that Jingles and Richard's not going to die because they sold their souls to the devil. So they're going to live forever. I'm going to predict that Brooke is going to survive. And I'm hoping, because usually when you see movies like that, the bad guy always gets it cut, they finally die. And so I'm hoping that Jingles gets his last kill, basically. I hope he kills that stupid bitch, Margaret, because she deserves to die. So, that's pretty much about it. Pretty much, Brooke is the only one that's left. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the episode, what you guys think of the season so far. We're like halfway through. As far as I know, from what I've seen online, Wikipedia says there's 8 episodes, but if you go to IMDb and what? 8 hours ago? 1984 will be the show's shortest season. 9th episode. What? Okay, so originally this season was only supposed to have 10 episodes, but apparently they're making it 9 episodes. So that means that we only have only 4 episodes left. Which fucking sucks. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Just the way that they did the season, I'd be okay with it, Anyways, I'm gonna go. This is getting long enough. I have to get my stuff off my bed so I can get ready for bed because I got work in the morning. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.